right, what's up? This is Jamel with True Hollywood Tea. With me today is Tiffany Abney, an actress and stunt woman. You can catch her latest work on the series LA's Finest. Tiffany, how's it going today?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing well, trying to stay cool. So, how has life in quarantine been treating you? Have you gotten a little stir crazy, picked up a new habit or anything like that?
Honestly, as far as quarantine is concerned, I hate that people have been losing their lives. Um, but I've been doing good in quarantine. I spent my whole quarantine perfecting, different things that I do, like motocross, and I've been doing a lot of bike work. I live on a 5-acre property, so we've got plenty of space to play around up here. So that actually made quarantine bearable because we've got so much space that it was a lot easier to deal with being confined to our property for a while. I am working now though, so I've been working since like July. So are we technically still on quarantine or no? Like, I don't even know what the
Well,
status is.
people are acting like the quarantine and the pandemic is over. So, but technically, we are still supposed to
Okay.
be. But yeah, I can't imagine
Okay.
how bad it would be if you were in like a cramped space. So it's good that you have that much
Yeah.
room to play around, kind of keep your skills sharp and everything else.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Tiffany, so you are one of the stunt people, stunt women on LA's Finest, show starring
Mhm.
Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba. A big fan of both of those ladies. What's it like working on a show like that?
Well, it's a pretty big show, so it's a great experience to be able to, not only be around Gab and Jess, but to be around the lighting people and the gaffers and the producers and the directors. You're working with the best of the best in this industry, so I'm able to learn a lot, not just from Jess and Gab, but also from a lot of other people. So I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in.
Did the show's production change any from it shifting over from Spectrum to Fox?
No, you know what's so interesting about that whole thing? I don't think, like, when we shot season two, that wasn't even a thing. Like, nobody, as far as I know, nobody was in talks with Fox about putting the show on Fox, season one on Fox. I think when the quarantine hit, I think Fox may have kind of been like, and this is just my own opinion, Fox may have been like, oh crap, we don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe we should get some more, some more shows. So I think that's what happened. And we ended up on Fox. Season one is airing on Fox right now. And it is such a blessing because I have never known a show to be on a streaming platform and then go from streaming to broadcast television. I've never known a show to do that. So the fact that that happened was like so shocking and surprising to me, but it's very much welcomed because those residual checks will be really cute from Fox.
Oh
So
yeah, oh yeah, I can
shout out
only
to Fox.
imagine.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's got to be such a pleasure to go to a bigger platform such as Fox because usually,
Yes.
like you said, shows don't go from streaming to the networks. It's usually the other way
No.
around.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. I want to say I think our show is the first show to ever do that because again, yeah, it's usually the opposite way. You get a season on a network show and like 10 seasons later, you're on Netflix or something like that. So it's a blessing for sure. We're all very, very thankful.
What's it like working with Gabrielle and with Jessica? Gabrielle has been around for so long. I was watching Love and Basketball the other day, and she looks the exact same. She's on Moesha in
She
the first season.
does.
It's amazing. She looks the exact same, and it's like she could literally put on one of those old Clover uniforms today and still do the cheers.
Yes, and Jess is the same way. And I have to say, excuse my hair situation. I'm on a job right now, and I had to have my hair up, and I have to have my hair up again tomorrow. So I just said, "F it, I'm just gonna stay up until tomorrow."
You see my
So,
situation. I can't judge
so
anything.
this is where I'm at right now. So y'all gonna have to, take it or leave it. But um, Jess and Gab look so good. Like when I go to work and I look at them, even before they end up in the hair and makeup trailer, I'm just like, how do you guys still look the same? Like, how is that possible?
I think them and Angela Bassett, they found the fountain of youth somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a few of them who I look at them now and I'm just like, dude, how do you look exactly the same from like 20 years ago? That's like not even human. So no, they're beautiful women, the both of them. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with them and work for them because technically they're my bosses because they're producers on the show. So it's cool. I get to see them doing the acting bits, and then I also get to see them in a position of telling people, you know, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. No, I don't like this. I want to change this. Like, it's nice because I don't typically, I mean, when I'm on set with actors, of course, actors are actors, and actors, as far as their characters are concerned, they'd like to make choices and changes for their characters. But those to be making choices and changes for the whole production, honey. So
It's great
I
seeing
love to
women
see
in
it.
that position, especially women of color as well.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
So one of the cool things that I found out in watching the show, and I'm like, some of the things in this show look a little familiar. The title card, and then the line, "Let me get a pack of tropical bubblicious." I'm like, oh, wait, is this connected to Bad Boys? And then I'm like, oh, it's connected to the Bad Boys movie. So, were you excited in finding out that, oh, this is connected to this property that's been around for so long and that so many people have a lot of good memories tied to?
I am a huge fan of the Bad Boy franchise. Like, love, 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 love. Like, my fiance actually doubled Gab before in fun fact, my fiance and his daughter and myself have all double Gab, but he doubled Gab in, I think it was, she was in two, yeah, he doubled her in two. He did all her driving stuff. So been a fan of the Bad Boys franchise, and I'm so happy to kind of be a part of the Bad Boys franchise in a way. You know, since I was a kid, I've just always loved it. And I've always, literally, the first one that came out, I was like, I think that's one of the times where I knew that I wanted to be an action actress. I didn't really necessarily think about a stunt person, but I knew from watching that and watching Gina Davis in the movie with Samuel L. Jackson. It's I'm blanking right now, but A Time to Kill, one of these movies. But
Yeah, it's
watching
been in
those
a lot of
movies,
movies.
yeah, when watching those movies, I knew that that's what I wanted to do with my life and my career. So the fact that I am now a part of it, which is something that I always wanted to be, but I didn't necessarily know how to do that, because when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I want to do this, but you know, it's one thing to be like, I want to be a police officer, or I want to be a dentist, or you go to school to be those things and you become those things. But acting and stunts, it's a lot different. Like, you people want to do it, but it's like, how do I get started? So, you know, I have a lot of people who contact me and who are like, dude, how do I get into the industry? And I'm like, I give people as much advice as I possibly can, but it's different for every person. So the fact that I'm able to do what I love to do and work on the coolest projects is honestly, like, it makes my heart so freaking happy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you get started with doing stunt work? Because usually people go to the acting school to get involved and start acting on stage or on screen. But getting involved in stunt work, that seems like it might be a little bit more of a challenge to actually get involved in.
It's a huge challenge. Because you have to be able to do so many things. Like, I personally, I horseback ride, I do motorcycle work, I do fights, I do firework, I do wire work. So, you know, there's people who specialize in one thing. Like, I have friends who specialize in fights, and that's like all they do. But they're like the best of the best of the best of the best. They do all the Marvel movies, and they're all the superheroes that you love to watch. Um, so it's if you figure out one thing that you really want to be great at, I recommend for people to do that and start with that, and then get really freaking good at that. And then after you are in a place where people are calling you all the time for specific things, then you can say, okay, let me venture off into start trying to do car work now, or start trying to do bike work now. Um, and that's, you know, that's how my suggestion to people who want to kind of get into the stunt business, I always say, you have to train. That's the only way you can do it. You have to train. And when you start to train and people start to look at you and say, oh, she can do this, or oh, he can do this, then they start recommending you to stunt coordinators or jobs. And that's technically how you get jobs as a stunt person. The stunt coordinator has to hire you. So for me, I knew stunt people before I started doing stunts, and they kept telling me, and I had a friend who didn't do stunts, but she introduced me to all these stunt people, and she was like, you need to be doing stunts. And she told me this for like a year, and I literally was like, I don't know anything about stunts. You know, I don't think it's for me, just because my stunt friends would tell me all these crazy stories from work, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to get hit by a car in real life, you know?
Yeah, usually that doesn't go well in real life.
I don't know if this is for me. But then I had a very real conversation with myself one day, like a year after, because she had been telling me for like a year. And I had a very real conversation with myself, and I was sitting in my bedroom, and I was like, okay, either you're gonna do this or you're not gonna do it. So just stop playing with the idea, like just go for it, or just don't do it at all. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I had to have a conversation with God about it, because I was like, I don't know what stunts is. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is right for me. And I was leaning more towards not doing it because, again, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it entailed. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just used to hear all those crazy stories that my friends used to tell me. So then in the moment where I was leaning more towards, no, I'm not going to do this, a good friend of mine texted me, and she said, her name is Felicia. She texted me and she was like, hey, this is going to sound so crazy, but I just had this vision that you jumped off of a building and you were a stunt person. And I literally bust out in tears, because I hadn't seen her in years. I hadn't talked to her in years. She had no idea that I was getting into stunts. But when she texted me that, that's when I was like, okay, well, I guess God's talking to me. I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because like, that's a very random thing to text somebody, you know what I'm saying? So, so that's how I ended up. And after I got that text message and I called her and I talked to her and I said, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. And I started doing it. I started training. And I've been working a lot as a stunt woman. So very, very thankful to my friend Felicia and to the Lord, honey, for, you know, coming through for a kid, because I don't know what I'd be doing right now, honestly, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing.
So during the filming of this show, have there been any stunts that have been particularly challenging, or during, you know, the time of the pandemic, has it been challenging with filming, scheduling, and staying in shape for doing those stunts?
So during the pandemic, I took it upon myself to start doing my own content, action-y type stuff. A shoe company reached out to me and they're like, oh, we really like what you're doing. Can you do some stunts in our shoes? And I was like, I mean, I guess. So they're like 6-inch stiletto heels. And I'm like, what do you want me to do in these things? So during the pandemic, I started creating content for that company, doing promo like with my motorcycle. So I've been doing a bunch of like motorcycle stuff with 6-inch stilettos on, which turned out to be really cool. And people who follow me really like the stuff that I've been putting out with that company. So that's kind of what I was doing during the pandemic. And I was staying in shape. Fight-wise, I wasn't in the greatest shape that I could have been in fight-wise, because I wasn't doing a whole bunch of fighting, because my friends were in the house and I was in the house. So it was, you know, I did as much as I could do by myself, but you still need people to work out choreo with and to film stuff with, so you can see what things are looking like and things like that. So fight-wise, as soon as, you know, work kind of kicked back in, I was like, all right, I got to start fighting again. So, because I do a lot of fighting on that show and different shows. So I was like, I got to start fighting again. So I've been fighting a lot recently too. And then I think the hardest thing, let's see, what can I talk about? Well, I guess it's on Spectrum. So everything is shown on season 2, I guess, by now. So I can talk about season 2. The hardest thing, I think, for me, season 2 was, there was a scene where myself and my partner, well, Gab and Jessica, their characters were jumping from one roof to another roof. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not, but
That
I
is
had to do it.
that is a lot.
I think that was my first day back on season 2. I think that's what I had to do. Oh, no. I had to do some car work first. And then after the car work, they're like, so yeah, you're jumping off of a roof onto another roof next week. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm going to be harnessed in and have wires and stuff. And they said, oh, no harness, no wires.
Wait, no wires, net,
No,
anything?
no,
Oh.
no.
And they just said it so casually, like, yeah, you're going to be doing this. And then,
Oh, everything is super cash. Like, because the thing about stunt coordinators are they've seen it all and they've done it all. So like everything to them is just like not a big deal. But for somebody like me, I've been doing stunts for 4 years and I have not seen it all and I have not done it all. So for me, certain things that are super easy for them, for me, I'm just like, okay, we're doing this.
As a civilian, that sounds crazy to me. The motorcycle, driving it with the heels sounds a little bit crazy. I can't ride in motorcycle regular, so I can only imagine how challenging it is in heels.
Yeah, it is, shifting gears and all kinds of things, and it's not easy at all. So yeah, I would say for season 2, that was probably the most challenging thing, the most challenging gag that I had to do on that season. Yeah, because everything else for me was like fighting, which, I mean, one fight I did in like 6-inch heels, which was a lot, but I got through it. They usually don't do that to us on that show. They usually let us wear really comfortable clothes and shoes without heels on that show typically, but every now and again the character's got a scene where she's a little spicy, so she got to put on some 6-inch heels and do a whole fight, honey. So
Speaking of fighting,
I had to do that.
what forms of martial arts are you trained in, or do you have kind of like boxing experience?
I box for sure, and then I also do judo and jujitsu. Those are like my favorite types of martial arts training. A little Aikido, because I train, well, when the gym was open, I was training at 8711, which is like a big stunt conglomerate as far as fight. Like when people call 87, they call 87 because they're like, oh, they're going to deliver some fights. Like they do all the John Wick movies. When I say they do the John Wick movies, I mean they put together all the choreography. They run through everything with Keanu. Holly was in the last one. Holly. So they do all of the John Wick is basically 8711 at the end of the day. And they do Atomic Blonde. Like they've done so many intricate fight scenes that training with them is like a stunt person's dream. Everybody at some point is like, I want to train at 87, but I don't think they're open right now because of everything that's happening. But yeah, that's mainly the type of fight style. That's my fight style, is that of like John Wick type fighting and like Atomic Blonde type fighting.
Basically, don't mess with you. Don't get on your bad side. So you said you've been in the business doing stunts for about 4 years, and you've done a lot of work. You've worked on some of my favorite superhero shows as well. You've done Black Lightning, The Punisher, Luke Cage. How are those sets and how are those productions a little bit different than the set of LA's Finest?
Well, we can start off with the fact that LA's Finest is shot in LA. Luke Cage and Punisher are shot in New York. I don't think they're doing Luke Cage anymore, and I'm not sure about Punisher, but those two are shot in New York, and Black Lightning is shot in Atlanta. So just the vibes between the different states is completely different, like completely different. So I think that is a huge difference, period. You know what I mean? But, in terms of like being on set, I don't know what's super. There's nothing that's just super different. It's just basically that they're not in the same state. In the states are, New York is different from Atlanta, is different from LA, completely different, and the people are very much different. So just the different vibes. But I have to say, LA is my favorite place to film. I don't know if it's because I'm used to being in LA or what, but LA is for sure my favorite place to film.
Well, of all the sets that you've been on and the productions that you've been a part of, all the different stunts, is there one stunt in particular that stands out as the most difficult, the most I I really don't want to do that again if I can help it. I don't want to do that again.
I would have to say anytime I've done a ratchet or a hand pull, and essentially what that is, if I can set that up for you so you understand what a ratchet and a hand pull are. In superhero movies, when, say for instance, the say like Thor or somebody, right, is doing a fight and they get punched, and when they get punched, they get sent all like far away.
Okay.
And they fly. Somebody's on a wire actually flying.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not fun. So being on a wire and doing, it's called a ratchet, or sometimes they're a hand pull. The ratchet is the machine, so it's essentially a machine that is set up to just pull you backwards. And a hand pull is when you've got somebody standing on like a ladder or something like that, and they've got the wire attached to you, and then they basically like jump off the ladder, and that's kind of how they pull you in that direction. But those I think are the most difficult things for me, just because I usually hit something, and when I hit it really hard, and it does not feel good. And there's not been one time where I've only had to do it one time. Like you have to do it over and over and over and over, and it's super painful. And I don't know if my body's ever going to get used to doing that. Hopefully it will, because it doesn't. I've gotten the wind knocked out of me a few times. I worked on Marvel's Runaways, where I had to do a ratchet into a pole, and it was a really big pole, and
that seems extra dangerous.
It was fast. That ratchet was very fast, and it yanked me super fast back into the pole, and I hit the pole. And on the day when I did it, on the actual work day, and I was in costume and everything, I had pins in my hair, and I had earrings and bracelets and things on. Every time I hit that pole, the pins in my hair that were keeping my wig on would fly out of my hair, and my earrings would fly off, and sometimes the bracelets would come off too. So that's how hard my impact was, that the pins in my hair were flying out of my hair, and my earrings were flying every time it did.
That does not sound like a fun experience.
It's not. There's
those
some people I know
particularly long
love,
days when you're on set, when you have to do one of those ratchets. Are those like I've got to do this again?
I mean, I get anxiety. I'm not gonna lie, I get anxiety, but I think, as a stunt performer, you just have to say, I'm prepared enough to do this. I know that I need to tuck. I know what I need to do. Like, I know that I need to move my body forward a little bit on 3, 2, 1, on 1, move forward a little bit, and then I'm getting yanked. So there's certain things that you have to do. So in my mind, I just go over everything in my head. Like, I picture every stunt that I'm going to do. I always picture it in my head before I actually do it, because it helps me with my muscle memory and everything that I need to remember, so that I'm not trying to remember a bunch of things while I'm doing it, because that's not so easy to do all the time. So yeah, you just prepare yourself as much as you can, and then you just give the rest to God, and you just pray that you're going to be fine, and that you're going to make it out of your stunt.
We were talking a little bit earlier about Gabrielle, and she's a woman of color, a Black woman in a position as an executive on a major network show. Mm-hmm. The challenge, I can't imagine the challenge that get into not just the stunt game as a woman, but as a woman of color, because in general, acting opportunities aren't as much, especially in action. So has it been particularly hard for you not only to find work, but find consistent work in, doing stunts, whether it's on TV, film?
I work all the time. I literally work all the time. That's because when I go to work, I do a great job. And even if I go to work and there's something that I'm not sure about or I don't know, I will ask questions and still get it done. So I have a reputation for being able to like, this is the thing about me. If I know I'm not going to do something, or if I know I don't want to do it, or if I know I can't do it, like I don't like heights. So if somebody calls me and says, hey, we want you to jump off of a 26-story building, I'm going to say no. I'm absolutely going to say no, because that's not my thing. And that's fine. But I know that about myself. So people respect the fact that if they hire me, they know that they're not hiring me because I want a job or because I need the money, or because even if I needed the money and it was a 26-story jump and they said that they're going to pay me a $5,000 adjustment on top of my rate, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So it has happened. I've gotten offered a lot of money to do high things and I'm like, no, that's not me. So, I think people understand about me that, if and one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing about stunts, is safety, right? So people know that when they hire me, I'm not going to put myself in a position. I'm not going to put other people in a position to get them hurt or get myself hurt or get somebody killed, So I get hired because I do a good job, and I'm respectful of people on set. I have great set etiquette, and I'm a good team player. I just recently did a job where I don't know how much of this I can say. Okay, I did a motion capture job recently, and it's for a really big thing. I can't say what it is.
Oh, you're teasing us. You're teasing us.
But I'm doubling the lead in the game. So there's a bunch of like things that I had to do. But then there's some things that I probably could have done, but there was somebody else who is like, that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, this girl, this is what she does. So they threw her into those spots. And I'm like, cool, let her do it. That's like, because at the end of the day, it's about getting the job done. It's not about my ego. It's not about, well, I can't believe they wouldn't let me do that. And there's a lot of some people who are like that, who are like, well, they should have let me. No, if they feel like this other person is right for that part and I'm right, I still have the job at the end of the day. I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just that type of person where I keep it 100% real with myself and with other people and with stunt coordinators. So I think that's one of the reasons why people keep hiring me.
Sounds like you are a true professional, which in any line of work, that's the main thing. Be a pro and you'll always be hired. So absolutely. With all the sets that you've been on, all the projects, 21 Bridges, Criminal Minds, you've done a lot of stuff. Is there one stunt in particular where you're just like, that's going to go on my highlight reel of what I've done in my career?
I want to say the ratchets, because the ratchets always look so gnarly. They hurt like hell.
That is surprising. I'm like, oh, she's not going to say the ratchets because they hurt so much.
They are not fun to do, but they look so good on camera. You know what I mean? So if I have a highlight reel, if a coordinator sees me do a ratchet, a certain type of ratchet, they're going to be like, oh, I can hire her for just about anything. Because if she took that hit, then that's the girl for the job. So I would have to say, like, as much as I hate doing them, I would have to say the ratchets. I've done a ratchet in Runaways. I did a ratchet on The Quiet Place, which I can't really talk too much about, but it was a gnarly ratchet. And I flew I flew high. I got some airtime, and I flew far back, and it was gnarly. And I did a ratchet on LA's Finest season 2, the graveyard scene, which was weird, eerie, because we were in an actual graveyard. No, I showed up to work and I was like, oh wait, we're not shooting at a pretend graveyard. Like, this is a real graveyard.
That can't be a fun morning where it's just like, oh, we're at a graveyard.
In 2020, like,
Yeah.
you know. So I would have to say what I think looks the best that I've done are the ratchets. And the LA's Finest ratchet looked really good because a car exploded and there was this big explosion and there's fire everywhere and we just get hit. So it looked really good.
Well, Tiffany, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but before we get out of here, I have to ask, what do you have coming up next? Can we expect to see you on in a leading role in front of the screen instead of just doing the stunts? What do you have on deck next that
Well,
you can talk about and not get in trouble?
As of right now, I am working on that motion capture job that I can't really talk about. And I'm also working on a Netflix movie right now. And I'm about to start 911 Lone Star, doubling two of the actresses in 911 Lone Star. And got some commercials coming up and stuff like that, and actually really producing more of my own content. I'm going to work more on that because it's always interesting as a stunt performer when we go on set and we do the craziest thing sometimes, and then it gets to the editing room and then you see it on TV, and to anybody else who looks at it, it's like, oh, that's cool, but when we see our work on TV, we're like, why did they edit that like that? Like, why? Like, they didn't even show so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of things that, on TV and sometimes even in film, you just don't see because of how they decide to edit it. So, I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, I'm going to start doing my own stuff, and I'm going to edit it how, stunt performers edit our stuff. So I'm going to start putting more of that content out because I need to, and other stunt people that I know are putting more content out too, because the stuff that we do and the stuff that you guys see a lot of times, you guys don't see the gnarly, really cool stuff. And as much as you guys probably think you see cool stuff, there's so much more.
I'm looking forward to that. I think. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that why the John Wick movies are so loved? Because both the directors have that background in stunt work.
Yeah, the directors are 8711 guys. I mean, the John Wick movies, to me, I always say, every time I watch them, I'm just like, I'm not here for the story. I'm just here for the fight sequences, because to me, I feel like it's an hour and a half, 8711 action reel. Like, it's not, I don't know. They're good. They're great movies. Don't get me wrong, but I just always feel like, I'm like, oh, okay, let me go watch 8711 action reel at the movies today. But I love and appreciate the fact that people are giving second unit directors the ability to bring their own editors into things and to let them direct and actually let them just do their own thing. That's so much appreciative. I'm starting to see more of it. I know David Leitch he's an 8711 guy. He's doing a movie with, I'm going to say James Franco. He's doing a movie about a stuntman, and I'm so here for it. And I can't wait until they do it. I think it's going to be so amazing and so awesome. So, yeah, I do think that the industry is starting to allow us to be more free and starting to allow us to create more and edit our own, or bring our own editors in. And I appreciate that, because I'm telling you, when you guys start to see like the stunt version of the action compared to the studio's version of the action, boy. y'all gonna be like, oh my God, what? But you know, it's a different eye. We have a completely different eye than they have.
Well, Tiffany, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate your work as a performer and as a fan of action. I look forward to seeing more of it. And go ahead and enjoy some more of that great California weather. Make sure you catch Tiffany on LA's Finest. She does great stunt work and she's done a lot of other material. Go ahead, check her out. Do you have a website or anything else like or
I
something where we can
do.
go?
I do. My website is www.tiffystunts.com. And my Instagram is also Tiffy Stunts, Tiffy Stunts. And my Facebook, if you're on Facebook, is Tiffany Abney, Tiffany. Last name is Abney, Abney.
All right. Well, Tiffany, thank you again for doing this interview with True Hollywood Tea. I've been Jamel, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks again, Tiffany.